Welcome back everyone to Massage with Katrina. I'm Katrina, and today's video is going to be part one in a series of how to alleviate carpal tunnel pain. Before we jump in, be sure you've talked to a doctor and they've given you the okay to do self-massage as part of your treatment plan. Otherwise, go ahead and jump into something comfy, stretchy, and let's get started. Okay, let's start with what is carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel syndrome is a common neurological disorder that occurs when the median nerve, which runs from your forearm to the palm of your hand, becomes pressed or squeezed. You may feel numbness, weakness, pain in your hand and wrist, and your fingers may become swollen and useless. I mean, it's not wrong. Whenever anyone Googles anything, I feel like it always ends in death or like you'll just be useless. Like, what is that? Thanks, Google. So what I have found in lots of years of doing massage therapy is what causes that numbness and pain in your hand and wrist, and sometimes like a complete loss of strength. Most of the time, not all of the time, so this is not across the board, but most of the time I found it's your muscles in your forearms and wrist that have tightened up, and that is what is pinching the nerve. Now that can be caused by a lot of different things. A lot of times it's from your occupation. So like an electrician, a mechanic, maybe a mom with young kids she's having to hold, someone who works a desk job all the time. Anything that is constantly constricting and flexing your forearms and hands, anything that's basically using those muscles all the time, kind of overworking them, can cause those muscles to tighten up. So this happens a lot. I see it all the time, and I'm not saying that loosening up the muscles will completely cure your carpal tunnel, but this is a good place to start. I mean, see if you can get these muscles to loosen up and see if it alleviates some of that pain, and then my gosh, keep doing that. So anyway, all that being said, go ahead and grab your favorite lotion or oil and just get enough to where you can lubricate your skin enough to slide. You don't want to be putting so much on that you're sliding off. So not a forearm slip and slide. So anyway, what we're going to start with is to warm up the muscle. So we're going to work the forearm front and back. And take your other hand and you're going to hook this thumb right here and then wrap your fingers around just like this. And kind of squeezing your fingers together, you're going to slide all the way up to your elbow and then come back down to your hand. And you don't have to move super fast up and down. This is not a race. We're just doing a muscle warm up. So just do a nice, it's kind of a squeezing motion up, and then you can kind of like, if you feel some soreness, like the back of my wrist is a little bit sore, you can apply some pressure in a circular motion to just help those muscles that run through those carpal bones, just help them to kind of loosen up a little bit too. And then I'm kind of doing the same thing on this other side with my thumb. So I'm doing circular motions as I kind of work my way down towards the elbow. And I'm holding my hand up so you guys can see, but this would probably be better if your hand was resting on something, maybe your leg or a table or a counter, but I'll just keep it up here so you can see. So yeah, we're just kind of getting that forearm warmed up, just like that. And then let's go back up again. Okay, and then go ahead and shake it out. So it's key to try and keep your hand and forearm as completely relaxed as you possibly can, because if you're, like for me, if I'm holding up my hand right here, I'm actually causing my muscles to constrict, which means there's tension there. And it's super hard, borderline impossible, to get your muscles to release when they're flexed at all. So I mean, go ahead and just let your hand go totally limp. You might feel a little silly because it might be flopping all over, but just try to relax as much as you can. And I'm really spending some extra time on my wrist here because my wrist is really sore. And if you've got pretty bad carpal tunnel syndrome, your wrist is probably going to be pretty sore too. All right, so once you've kind of warmed that up a little bit, we're going to start with the flexors of the wrist. So I'm going to put my hand down because next I'm going to do is use my elbow, kind of my elbow and forearm, to really relieve some of that tension. So I got to get some lotion on this elbow too. So I just put some on and rub a little bit of lotion on this kind of elbow and forearm area, and you're ready to go. So what I like to do is take my elbow and kind of hook it right in the crease of the elbow here. So try to just stay as relaxed as you can and place that forearm right in the crease of the elbow, and then very slowly follow along with me. We're just going to apply pressure as we slide down towards the wrist. So make sure you're not rushing through this. Try to keep pace with me. See how slow I'm going? I'm not even halfway down the forearm yet. And if you feel like you need a little more pressure, a little trick that I like to do is you can angle more with your elbow right here, and that will give you a deeper pressure. If it's a little too much, just go ahead and take away some of the angle of that elbow and use more forearm. And go all the way down to your wrist if you need to adjust, like I'm bracing my wrist now on top of my leg. Go all the way down through your wrist here, and I'm going to flex my hand so you can see better. But I'm taking my elbow and I'm going right through the middle of my wrist and into my palm. Right here. So, and my skin's pretty light so you can see it, but I just took my elbow in a straight line right up through the middle of the palm there and into the middle of the palm. So right through there. Do that 3 more times. Start up at the elbow nice and slow and go all the way down the wrist. Okay, shake it out, and then we'll do the same thing on the back side of the arm. So go ahead and flip your forearm over, place it on your leg or the table or whatever you're using. And same thing, put your arm right in that crease of the elbow. And I would actually start a little above the elbow, so kind of up in here. Just make sure you're not starting too low. Again, keep that forearm and hand as relaxed as you can as you just slide down the back of your forearm. This is really sore for me. You might be more sore on this side than you were on the other. Ooh, yeah, this stings a little bit. But don't rush through it, no matter how much it stings. The key is to go nice and slow. You're really trying to stretch out that muscle and get them to lengthen back out to where they're supposed to be, instead of in a constant constricted state. Yep, so just keep going. See, I'm barely getting to the halfway point down my forearm, so really don't speed this up. Just follow along. There we go. And like for me, my wrist down here isn't nearly as sore as the rest of my arm was. And sorry, let me pause. So keep going all the way into the back of your hand. You may not need to angle with your elbow quite as much, but make sure you don't stop at the wrist. You got to keep going through the hand, because those muscles from your forearm, wrist, and into your hand are all connected. Let's do that 3 more times. So go ahead, you can kind of wiggle back and forth, get set into the crook of that elbow. And then very slowly, just work your way down this forearm. Whew. And I've found sometimes it helps me to kind of wiggle my fingers. So like, be completely relaxed and then wiggle your fingers a little bit as you're moving your forearm. So like, you're contracting your muscles a little bit and then you're completely relaxing. And then you're contracting a little bit and then relaxing. And I found that sometimes that helps to, 1, take your mind off of how sore this is, but it also helps to really get a deeper stretch in that muscle. So yeah, just keep, if you want to, you can keep wiggling your fingers like in intervals as you work your way down your forearm. Here we go. And this area is not very sore for me, so I'm just going to stay as relaxed as I can. Oh, your fingers might curl a little bit because what you're doing is just, you're kind of forcing a contraction on the muscles. You're kind of waking up this nerve because it's been pinched for a long time. So anyway, now we're doing that 3rd round. Same thing, nice and slow, don't rush it. Now I'm using more pressure and using my little trick of angling my elbow more, now that I think I've gotten some of that muscle to loosen up so I can take a deeper pressure now. A deeper pressure without flexing. That's the key. It's kind of a fine line to walk. You don't want to apply so much pressure to the point that you're like tensing up, because like I said, you'll be here forever trying to get the muscle to loosen up. But as you massage, you'll find that as the muscle starts to release, you can take a deeper and deeper pressure while staying relaxed. And that's the perfect sweet spot. That's right where you want to be. Okay. See, I just adjusted a little bit so I could brace my wrist. Okay, perfect. I'm kind of switching to more forearm as I get into the back of my hand. That way I don't hurt myself by using, straight elbow on kind of a bonier part of my body. Okay, go ahead and shake that out. And honestly, if you need to do that a couple more times, do it. I mean, if you feel like you're like, oh, this now is really sore, like I'm feeling soreness there. My gosh, get that. So like I'm kind of feeling some soreness on the side of my forearm now. You might be having a little bit of soreness over here on the other side. Do the same thing, just really nice and slow. Stretch that muscle right back out and do that a few times. All right, awesome job, you guys. That was part 1 of how to relieve carpal tunnel syndrome. Part 2 will be next, and that's just going to be primarily focusing on the wrist and hand and relieving the muscles there as well. But that being said, I hope everyone has a great day, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Otherwise, see you all next time.